The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 901. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. You can now purchase The Tao of Self-Confidence, a guide to moving beyond trauma and awakening the leader within on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Walmart, Indigo, and other major book retailers. Get your copy today. This will be our last episode for the season, and we will be back for a brand new season on September 3, 2024. In the meantime, check out our past episodes of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing woman on the show today. She's a vice president and global supplier diversity professional and also part of the US PAC WISE cohort. And I'm super excited to have her on today to share her story and wisdom on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Breana Chan. Breana, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here today, Sheena. It is an exciting thing for me, for sure. As Sheena mentioned, I am a vice president in global supplier diversity. I have been in the procurement and supplier diversity world for nearly 3 decades and absolutely love it. My passion in life is helping others, and so it's the perfect fit for me. So thank you again for having me.
Of course, it's such an honor to have you here today. So thanks so much for sharing that. And what's your cultural background?
I am a Heinz 57, as my family has always told me. I have a mixture of, it seems like, every European country, as well as Afghani, and found out that I have some African American in me. So it's always a new catch every time a DNA check is done.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Breana, what's your favorite self-confidence quote?
I will have to go with just do it, because in life, you need to just get out there, take a leap, and go, and not hesitate.
I love that. And especially as women, we tend to overthink things. We resist. We don't want to take action because we're afraid of making a mistake. And really, it just takes action to go out there and do it. Even if it's the wrong action, I believe it'll always lead us to the right action. So I love that short but impactful quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
To have faith in yourself, to realize that you're worthy of greatness, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of the next opportunity. And especially as women, I think that's a difficult challenge sometimes, because we're taught culturally that we need to be more subservient or not have those same opportunities. So, yeah, I think just getting out there and really having that faith in yourself, and for myself, having a great faith in God really helps with that too, because it's just a reminder from many quotes in the Bible, many places in the Bible where it says, hey, God loves you. God's done this for you. You're worthy of the greatest thing on earth and beyond. And I think that's really it.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And it's so important to see our worth, right? And as women, sometimes we undervalue ourselves a lot. We see like our value is very low, or low self-worth. And that's how we end up having confidence issues, not feeling good enough, being afraid to step out. And so it really starts with how we perceive ourselves so that we can go out there and take the necessary steps to live life on our terms, to show up as our best self. So I love that definition that you mentioned. And Breana, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I often would sit back and hesitate. I would sit there and look at the crowd and feel like I wasn't supposed to be part of it. And that if I took the risk and tried to join in, that I would be shunned or put down. And when I finally started actually doing that and actually started like taking that risk, kind of like the hokey pokey dance, right? You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. There was a little bit of that. But once I finally did it, it was night and day different from what I had expected it to be.
Thanks for sharing that. And I know as women, we tend to hesitate a lot, right? I mean, included. I mean, I would delay things. I would procrastinate like there's no tomorrow. I'd find every reason not to start something because we're so afraid if we go out there, we're going to fail or people are going to laugh at us or they're going to think we're too shameful. But really, it takes confidence to just go out there and make it happen. And, regardless of the noise outside, right? And what was that point in your life when you realized you were more than enough to go out there and make things happen, stop hesitating? What was that aha moment?
I was well into my 20s. Although I had self esteem to a point, my parents had taught my sister and me to both try things, try new things. Don't be afraid to try. And it's okay to fail. They always reassured us of that, but there was still that hesitancy. But I think it was probably in my mid 20s when I realized that I was okay. And my parents are right. It was okay to fail. And it was better to try. And here's the saying, right? It's better to try and fail than to never have tried at all. Kind of goes with the sales training, right? If you don't ask for the yes, you'll always get a no, right? But if you ask, at least there's a chance. And so that's the kind of the way that I've tried to approach life ever since. And sometimes I get burned, but for the most of the time, you get something, right?
I love that. And especially, how we view failure. How we view failure is it should be a positive thing versus a negative thing, right? Failure is what builds our strength, our courage, our confidence to keep moving forward. Yes, it's demotivating at times, right? Of course, but every successful person out there wouldn't be where they are today if they didn't go through all those failures. And so if we just taught people how to see failure as just part of the process, just part of our journey, then they realize, they just have to go through it. They have to push through it because there's something better on the other side. And like you mentioned, it's better to try. It's better to try, get a no than not try at all because you'd be surprised how many people would say yes. So I love that analogy that you have. And because of that, what's your life been like now?
Well, sometimes I make my kids and my husband a little embarrassed because I'm not afraid to ask. So we might be at a restaurant and I'll jokingly say, when the waiter or waitress brings the bill, I'll jokingly say to them, "Oh, we didn't order that." And I can't tell you how many times they're like, "Oh, okay." And they take the bill and they walk away. And we just got a free dinner for 7 people or a free breakfast or whatever. And my family's just like, "I can't believe you just did that." Or I'll jokingly say to a waiter or waitress, "Hey, they all offer dessert." I'm like, "Oh, is it on the house?" Or, just something like that. And it's amazing how many people say yes. When my husband and I were first married, our two oldest were, little, and I'd taken them to get pictures done. And back then, it was at Picture People in a mall in Sacramento. And back then, all the prints were, they printed everything, right? It wasn't like a digital picture and you pick off the computer. So here are these tons and tons, hundreds of dollars worth, of prints in front of me. And I jokingly said to the salesperson, "Well, what are you going to do with those that I'm not buying?" "Oh, we just throw them away." And I said, "Well, can I just have them then?" And he goes back and he asks his manager, and his manager's like, "Yeah, I don't care. That's fine." And I kind of said from afar, "Oh, well, can you frame the big one?" Jokingly. I didn't expect them to say yes. And the manager goes, "Fine with me if he wants to do it." And the salesperson's like, "All right, which frame do you want?" So I went from paying for a $50 package and I left that day with all the prints and the framed picture. And yet, if I had not taken that risk of saying, "Hey, can I?" there never would have been a yes. So yeah, it's a much different life.
I love that because I'm really big on asking questions. And like my sisters will always be like, "Can you go up to the salesperson and ask if we can get this done?" can you go call somebody and make sure if we can get this done? Because they know I'll go and ask because they're too embarrassed. And like, even when I was working a job, and I always share this, like I was going through a salary review and my boss gave me a raise from like 50,000 to 54,000. And I told him, can you raise that by one more thousand? Because in Chinese culture, anything that ends with a number four is a bad omen. If you say it out in Chinese, it means death. And even though he laughed at me because it sounds ridiculous, which I get, right? It's not his culture, he still gave it to me. So that's just an extra $1,000 just by simply asking. So I love that. You know, I always say if you don't ask, the answer is no. So even if you jokingly do it or not, the worst they could say is no. And you know, you didn't die. You didn't die. So I love that. And so Brianna, you know, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you would give to her?
That it's okay to jump. It's okay to step out and try, because if you don't, you'll never know. And then you'll hit a point in your life where you'll regret that you didn't. You know, I'm almost 50 now and I look back and there's things like, oh man, what if? And how could my life have been different? And I love my life. Yeah, I love my husband. I love my children, my grandbaby, but still there's those times like, I wonder what would have happened if. And, you know, I think it's just so important, especially, you know, to a young person who's just kind of getting out there and they're trying to figure out, what do I do? And how do I have that self-confidence? And what's okay? Don't live a life of regrets. Try it. See what happens.
I love that advice, and it's so true. Sometimes you just got to take the leap, just got to jump, and you never know what's going to happen, right? We just embrace it. So thanks for sharing that great advice. And if our listeners want to connect with you and get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Absolutely. I am on LinkedIn. You'll find me under Breana Chan, and I would love to connect with you there. Feel free to message me privately. I absolutely love connecting and interacting with people, and you know, finding ways to then connect them to other people that where they can find some synergy and have some greatness together.
Thank you so much, Brianna. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Brianna, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Brianna's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Brianna today for taking the time to share her story and wisdom on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Brianna.
Thank you, Sheena. I have appreciated being here.
Not a problem. It was such a blast having you on the show today. And to our listeners, this will be our last episode for the season, and we will be back for a brand new season on September 3, 2024. In the meantime, check out our past episodes of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.